Hey there booktube, welcome back to my channel. It is Sunday, day 17 of Vlogmas and day 4 of Litmas. Today's Litmas challenge is to talk about your favorite novel. And I don't know how Adrian saw this happening when he came up with this challenge, but I don't know how to talk about one favorite novel. I've read hundreds, maybe even thousands of novels so far. How do you pick just one? And the idea that you say you have one favorite novel, is that like folding your arms and saying, well, this novel right now, this is the best novel for me and there won't be anything better? I don't know about that, Adrian, but I will respond to the challenge, because when you give me a challenge, I will accept it. So I will talk about the things that make a novel a finalist for my favorite list. And maybe at the end of this, I will tell you a novel that comes pretty close to being one of my all-time favorites. So, I've always liked alternating perspectives. My first time reading a book that had alternating perspectives was The Other Side of Midnight by Sidney Sheldon. I read that when I was a teenager, and I remember being amazed at the quality of the writing, the ability that the author had to take these two separate individuals and explore their lives separately, while also bringing them to the place where their lives would intersect. And he did it seamlessly in that book. And it was my first time taking stock of that happening. And it's still something that I enjoy in books. I love a book that has really good alternating perspectives. A lot of novels that I've read recently have used alternating perspectives, and it is tempting, I know, because as a writer I've done it myself. As a matter of fact, the novel that I'm working on right now does have alternating perspectives, and I know how tricky it is to pull off, because you tend to favor one character, the one that you see emerging as the hero or heroine, and you want to explore the bad side of the villain and the good side for the hero or heroine. But in order to fully develop the characters, you have to show duality in both of them, even though you might have a favorite. So it is pretty tricky to do without bias as an author. But as a reader, you're also looking for that duality. If you are not yet sure how these two people's lives are going to intersect, or multiple lives are going to intersect, you don't want to know, like, you don't want to be spoiled by only reading negative things about this one character. So alternating perspectives is a big pull for me. I have enjoyed several books in the past few years that have had alternating perspectives, multiple perspectives, and where I think the author did it well. Liane Moriarty is another author whose writings I was drawn into because she did that, and I think she did it really well. She took like a small group of people and she gave you pretty much the perspective of each one of them, even the children, even the villains, to the point where you weren't really sure where the story was going. And at the end, where she puts all the characters together, it becomes this beautiful mosaic of individual tiles that you already liked, but now that they've come together in this collage, it becomes this beautiful artwork. That for me is one of the characteristics that a good novel should have. In order for it to be my favorite, in order for it to qualify as one of my favorites, that's something that I would look for. When it comes to themes, a few weeks ago I was reading Harold Bloom's How to Read and Why, and in that he talked about the characteristics of a good novel, that it should have social and political commentary. And I do believe that. I think that in order for a novel to be truly significant, especially timely and relevant, it has to make some commentary on the society, but it also has to show how the characters relate to what is going on around them, their culture and their background and their lifestyle. All of that becomes a social and political and geographic backdrop of the novel, and one that brings you into that place, maybe a place that's unfamiliar, a culture that's unfamiliar, and makes you feel like you learned something that you didn't know before, but also develop this appreciation and maybe even a yearning to be in that place. That for me makes a really good novel as well. As it relates to other themes, I like a book that has some kind of nod to science and religion. Those are things that I enjoy reading about. I enjoy seeing science in fiction, not necessarily science fiction. I like reading about characters who have a scientific background, but seeing them in a non-science setting. Vinegar Girl by Anne Tyler, which was her retelling of Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew, had a father and assistant who were professors, and see them in a domestic setting. I like that. That novel was far from perfect, but I like seeing that. I like seeing the naughty professor at home. I like science in my fiction. I like religion in my fiction. I'm comfortable enough with my own religious beliefs to be able to read about a person who is exploring spirituality and religion from a completely different perspective than mine. That's something that I enjoy reading about. So I've read a lot of books that have to do with people searching for the meaning of life, for the purpose for their lives, and going about it in a very different way, getting to a different conclusion than my own. Seeing them explore traditional Western religion or Eastern meditations or so on, it makes for a really good read for me. So I liked Eat, Pray, Love from that perspective. I liked when the character moved to India and went through this period of fasting. No, she didn't fast. Did she fast in India? This year I read Commonwealth by Patchett, and one of the characters was going through some kind of an identity crisis, and she goes to this temple and decides to take some time where she's fasting and taking a vow of silence. And I really enjoy that. Last week I was reading The Mortifications by Palacio, and one of the characters has this religious experience that stems from her background, and so she decides to become a nun, and she takes this vow of silence. And it's very interesting for me to read her interaction with her family, who don't quite understand or appreciate her response to the things that have happened in her life. I also really enjoy reading about immigration. As an immigrant myself, I like seeing my experience mirrored in fictional characters. I like seeing people coming from other parts of the world and meeting, so their attempts to assimilate or to integrate or to maintain their cultural identity. That's something that I really enjoy. So the challenge for me to find a really great novel is one that is told from multiple perspectives, deals with immigration and religion and science and politics and culture, and is well written, has female characters, because I do like to read about female characters, but also has very strong male characters who are comfortable enough with their maleness that they can allow the women to be who they are and not constantly feel like they need to diminish them in any way. So added to all of that, men who are feminists as well. Can I ask that much from a novel? Turns out I can. This novel that I read earlier this year comes pretty close. A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki has a lot of those characteristics. It wasn't a perfect novel, but it does come pretty close to being one of my favorites because it has all of the characteristics that I mentioned before. Plus, it's a really interesting read. Adrian, this is for you. Still just one of my favorite novels would be A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki. Challenge accepted. And that's it. That is day 4 of Litmas and day 17 of Vlogmas. Day 18 of Vlogmas coming at you live. Same place, same time. Well, the same place, but maybe not the same time. But in any case, come back here tomorrow for the next installment of Vlogmas. So leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you look for in what would be for you the perfect novel. And until tomorrow, when we come back for day 18 of Vlogmas, happy reading. Bye.